Hello, low ego action heroes. This is Debbie Levitt with deltacx.com, and something I hear from time to time is, hey Deb, I'm finding these articles or these videos or these people on LinkedIn or social media who say that they were able to get into UX and they didn't know anything about it at all. They just threw UX on their name and on their resume, and wow, they faked it until they made it, and they got a great paying job with no experience, no credentials. Hey Deb, is this real? And I say, it could be real. I don't know. You would have to send me their LinkedIn and I'd have to look at their portfolio to tell you if that really happened and if their work is any good. But this brings up some questions. My first question is, when did this person get this job? When did this fake it until you make it supposedly happen? I find a lot of those happened between 2012 and 2016-ish, because this is when there was a huge boom for UX. There was a gigantic demand and there weren't enough people to fill that demand. And companies didn't totally understand UX. And so any resume they saw that said UX, that person probably got hired. Even if they were lying, even if they were fudging, even if they were a visual designer or graphic designer who just threw UX and UX UI on their resume. So thing one, when did this person supposedly do this? Very often it was a few years ago, if not longer, because they came up when there was the boom and they managed to ride that wave. Now, of course, that's based on the demand that was happening, but now that's shifted, especially because of the supply. And if we know a little bit about supply and demand, even where the demand for UX is still high, we know that the supply is now higher, because what also came out of that wave was all of these boot camps and courses and university degrees and all these places and companies claiming they were going to get you job ready in, a microscopic amount of time, like go fix refrigerators and learn UX. So, thanks to all of those programs and certificate factories, now the supply is just wild, even though the demand is still there. And so it is less likely. Now it's more of the buyer's market. Now these people the employers can be choosy. They don't have to pick from the 10.5 people whose resume said UX. They've got thousands of people and hundreds more every month graduating who are looking for that job, and they can be picky. So just remember that it might seem like UX is a cool fake it until you make it place because you found someone on Instagram or YouTube or at some meetup who said, wow, check out how I was able to sneak into UX just because I liked it and I thought I could make some money and whatever. It does happen, but it is very rare. Sometimes those people don't last in UX. Sometimes those people last, but don't really work their way up. They never really work their way up into management or things like that because they started with something not so true. So also remember, there is a very negative side effect, which is if UX starts having a lot of fakers in it, or fudgers, or however you want to call it, what will employers think of our industry, of our profession? They'll just think this is some weird Wild West of a bunch of people guessing at stuff and pretending they're experts. And they're probably going to decide they don't really need us. They're going to say, well, we paid that person to guess at UX. Why didn't we just have the product manager do it, or an engineer? So remember, if you start doing that, you run the risk that you lower the understanding, you lower the respect for the entire profession. Yes, you have that power. So we don't want people to be hired with no education. We don't want people to be hired with no experience, unless it's an internship or apprenticeship or junior job that expects no experience. You wouldn't want a senior job with no experience. So we don't want it to look like anybody can show up to UX and just do the job. That's going to hurt how we're seen. So I believe that everybody who is trying to fake it and rush into UX runs the risk of doing poor work for the customer, poor work for the company, bad for our industry. And remember, if you are being held accountable at your job, your fake it until you make it's only going to keep you aloft so long. If somebody figures it out, or if you're held accountable, you could lose your job. You could get into some trouble. So I'm just going to say UX is not a place for the selfish. I know it seems like a great idea to launch yourself into UX no matter what you've got or haven't got because, wow, that person did it. But It's not the right place to rush into. It's not the right place to fake it until you make it. It's not the right place to just try to do a salary grab, especially if you're going to claim to be low ego, humble, have empathy. That doesn't match with, and I lied, and I fudged, and I faked it. So please be very careful when you think about going in these directions in our industry. It's not worth it. It's better for you to be better educated, qualified, skilled, and proficient, and then make your way into the industry. You'll have more staying power, you'll be more likely to be promoted, and you'll be doing great work at these jobs. Hope that helps. So on that note, please subscribe here on the YouTube channel, and of course empathize with the like button and let the algorithm know you liked it. Thanks, and see you in the next video.